Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Mjog Batch Messenger webinar. My name is Stuart Coleman. I'm a member of the deployment and implementation team at Mjog, and among my various roles and responsibilities, I both install Mjog and deliver various parts of training for it. So the purpose of this afternoon's session is to show you how to put together a batch message with an Mjog. Batch Messenger is the new interface name for Health Campaign Manager. Just before we get into the detail of the training, just a little bit of housekeeping with regards to the webinar itself. It's a one-way audio call, so you can hear me, but I can't hear you. So if you do have any questions as the session progresses, if you look at your GoToWebinar screen, there is a questions tab on there. And my colleague Paul, who is on the call with us as well, will endeavour to go through and answer any of the questions that you may have as the session progresses. We'll also allot some time at the end of the session to mop up any remaining questions also. To supplement your learning from today, this session is being recorded and a copy of the recording will be sent to you tomorrow. Also, on your GoToWebinar screen, there is a tab called Handouts, and we've uploaded a PDF quick reference guide, which also take you through step by step how to put together a batch message within Mjog. So I'm just going to start off by going through a couple of slides, and then we will go into Mjog itself. So Batch Messenger, what we aim to achieve by the end of this session is an understanding of the benefits of using Mjog to send batch messages to patients. We'll be able to download pre-worded templates from Mjog's template library, send a batch message, and then also manage previously sent and draft batch messages. One of the other benefits of this particular session is it will be the first time that we're able to share with you a couple of new features that have been implemented into Batch Messenger to provide you with more flexibility. So Batch Messenger, as with the earlier version of Campaign Manager, allows you to send bulk messages to patients quickly and with less expense than sending letters or indeed making phone calls to patients. Batch Messenger will allow your patients to respond to the messages that you send to them. Mjog supports both CTV3 codes within System 1 and SNOMED in Enus Web. And the fact that these codes can be automatically added into the clinical record for your patients, that further helps to significantly reduce the amount of admin time that you have to do that.
Stuart, sorry to interrupt. Gary's asking if we can have the presentation full screen, please.
Yeah, sure. Sorry. I'm trying to do my best because for some reason my mouse pointer has disappeared. Sorry, everyone. There you go. That's probably a little bit better. There you go. So that's what we're going to do. And this is what Batch Messenger is. So understanding what Batch Messenger is and the benefits that it's going to afford your practice, I'm going to go straight away into Mjog itself and take you through step by step how to put together a batch message. So you should hopefully all be able to see my screen now. I will log into Mjog. Here we go. So this new homepage for Mjog is something that I would imagine you've all got already. but if not, that's going to be released next week along with your batch messenger functionality. The first step in the process of putting together a batch message is to think about the wording of a message. So what is it that we actually want to say in a message? Are we going to be asking our patients to provide their smoking status, for example? Now, naturally, we could create our own message templates, but it's perhaps better to start off with a pre-worded template that Mjog supplies. So the easiest way of finding Mjog's pre-worded templates is to start from the homepage of Mjog here, and then we're going to go into the template builder on the left-hand side of the home screen. And this will take you into the template library for Mjog, as it were. So these are all of the various templates that you use throughout Mjog for your automated appointment reminder side of things and your campaign or batch messages. If you want to download the wording for a batch message, then we can download templates, which will open up the template downloader. And as we can see on the left-hand side of the screen here, all of our various pre-worded templates are organized by category. So the example that I'm going to go with for today's training is a smoking status. So if we look within the smoking category, we have various smoking-related templates. Now, one thing to draw your attention to here is that you'll notice that the title of some of these templates is in bold, whereas some are not. To make things simple, any template that is highlighted in bold is the most appropriate template to use according to how your Mjog has been configured. So here I've got a template for asking patients if they smoke. One thing that I'm able to do is to preview the message before we actually download it to Mjog so that it can be used. So that gives us a chance to review, is this definitely the message that we want to be using? So this first preview, that's for any patients that have opted in to receive smart messages from Mjog. So we're informing patients we want to update their record. This template goes a little bit further and provides patients with the national NHS quit advice. And at the bottom of the message here, the patients can easily respond using the smart template with their smoking status. If you have any patients that have opted out of receiving smart messages from Mjog, Mjog also has a text template for the same message, and that's what they will receive instead. And the main difference with patients responding by normal SMS is that they have to reply with a keyword in order for the response to be sent back to their clinical record. So just by previewing these messages already, we can start to build an impression of why this is going to be so useful. Texting is going to be quicker than sending letters. It's certainly a lot less expensive. And because we have these responses being sent from patients, Mjog again has the ability to write those responses back using CTV3 or SNOMED codes, depending on your clinical system. So once I found a message that looks useful for my purpose, I can then download that template, and that's automatically saved to Mjog. Now, just to give you a very simple example, if you wanted to go back to that template and reword it in any particular way, it will be found from the homepage of Mjog by going into the template builder. And then in this case, if we view the campaign tab, any templates that we have downloaded or even written ourselves are stored here. And you can click edit to make any changes that are necessary to both the smart template and the SMS template. So that's one big task already completed. We've got the wording for our smoking status in this case. The next thing that I would do is to use my clinical system, so that could be Enus Web or System 1, and we would run a search, finding the patients that we still need a smoking status for, and then we will need to save that as a CSV file. Now, in a couple of moments' time, I will show you some useful tips on how to format your exported CSV file out according to which clinical system that you're using. So, for example, if you are a System 1 surgery, then the only information that we need to provide Mjog with are the NHS numbers of your patients. And if you're using Enus Web, it's just the Enus numbers or patient IDs. In both cases, Mjog uses that information to determine whether the patients have got a valid mobile number that it can use or not. So we're going to assume at this point that I've already done that. So I'm now in a position to set up a batch message. So from the home page, as always, I'm going to now click on send a batch message. And we're presented with a very easy to follow wizard, and it'll prompt us to complete the relevant steps so that we're ready to send the message. So the first thing that I am going to do is to provide a name for my batch message. A month behind there. And then once I've provided a name for my batch message, I will save and continue. And we're on to step number 2, which is to upload our recipients. So this is where the CSV file is used. And here I've got the tips on how I need to format my CSV file. So I'm using an Enus instance of Mjog, so I need a CSV file that contains a column of Enus IDs, and actually it needs to be saved as a CSV file. So having already exported and saved the CSV file, I will be able to select it by navigating to that file. And then when I click on open, after a couple of moments, the patient list has been uploaded into Mjog successfully. But when I click continue, I will be given an overview of how many messages are able to be sent versus the ones that cannot be sent. So I can send to 94% of my patients. I can see one here has opted out of receiving Smart, so they will receive the SMS version of the message, and the rest of them will get the Smart template. If Mjog isn't able to send messages to patients, we don't have a valid mobile number, if we don't, or sorry, even if that patient has opted out of receiving messages altogether, I can easily download a list of those patients so that I'm able to either send letters to them instead or make phone calls. So if I download the report within your browser, the CSV file will be exported. I don't have Excel on this particular computer, but within Excel, this list will be formatted a lot more effectively. So I'm happy with my patient selection there. Just to point out at the bottom of the page, you do have the ability to discard if you don't want to continue anymore, or you can always save your message as a draft. I will show you where to find those later. But for now, I'm going to save and continue to step number 3, which is to write the message. And I've got 2 options here. I can select a template, which is what I'm going to do, or you can actually create a new message from scratch. That's quite useful in a scenario where, for example, the surgery is closed for maintenance or something like that, and you just want to get a message out there and then. You don't necessarily need a template. But now I will select a template. So from the drop-down list at the top here, all of the templates that I've previously downloaded or created myself can be selected from here. So if I choose the smoking status, I will then quickly get an overview or preview of both the SMS version of the message and the smart template. So if I'm happy with that choice, I can now use it. And now comes one of the most beneficial steps of this batch messenger, which is where we can add the coding for when the message is delivered. And I can apply the codes to the responses that we're going to receive. So to add a code for when the message is delivered to the patient's handset, I can click add. And one thing that I could do here, the message itself does provide a web link for cessation advice. So I could write that back when the message is delivered. So I'll just perform a search. You'll notice that when you are searching for codes, you can use the code itself or just search within the description. I'll select that and save. The next thing that I can turn my attention to are the responses themselves. So if I want to add a particular code for when patients reply smoke, then I will add code and do exactly the same thing here. So I believe it comes under current smoker. Of course, the search facility with an Mjog here is a lot better than it used to be, but you could always look up your code within your clinical system first and then paste it into Mjog. There we go. So we've got the smoker code there. Select and then save. Now, naturally, I would continue to add the codes for the remaining responses, but hopefully you're quite familiar with that from that demonstration. One thing that I do want to point out, though, is that naturally, because you might have a mixture of patients that only want to receive SMS messages and some that want to receive smart template, you'll need to repeat those steps twice. So add your codes for the SMS message, then move on to the smart message tab and repeat here. So I'll just look for cessation for now.
Hi, Stuart. I've got two people who have said the webinar stopped for them. I can still see it okay, though.
It stopped.
Yeah, I can still see it. Is everybody else able to see it, please? Can you write in the questions if you can't see it, please? It's okay. Well, Steve and Kelly have left anyway. So I'm guessing it may be because something's up with their internet connection, I would imagine, Stuart. That's all.
Okay, no problem. Well, as I mentioned at the beginning of the session, if there's any points that you want to go back over at all, this recording will be sent to you, so you can play it back when you need to. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, everybody, for messaging back. Yeah, it will rely on the bandwidth you have at your relative surgeries where you're listening to it. If you don't have a hugely brilliant internet connection, or if lots of other people are using it, you may get some breakup. So apologies for that.
Thanks again. So I was just applying a code for when the message is delivered as a smart template. Just to go back a little bit, when you do have a mixture of patients that prefer to receive SMS messages and smart, you do need to apply your codes twice. Now, just before I go any further, I just want to show you a new piece of functionality that's been added that may be very useful at some stage. When you're sending messages to patients now as a batch message, you do have the ability to disallow patients from replying. Now, one scenario that I can think of where that's useful is if you are sending out an announcement to your practice population, could be something to do with maintenance and surgery, something like that. You don't want to get patients asking questions or responding in general. So if you disable replies by unticking that box, you can send the message to your patients, but they can't actually reply to it. And that feature has been added as part of feedback that we've received from people like you. So I've added some of my codes. To continue to the next step, I will save and continue. Now, usefully, Mjog will provide me with a warning to say if I've forgotten, to add codes in here. Now, I'm okay with that for now because I'm just showing you the basics of adding codes. But one thing that I will show you towards the end of this session is if you've accidentally skipped that step altogether, you can retrospectively code a campaign after it's been sent. So all is not lost. So for now, I will continue without these codes. And I'm on to step number 4, which is to select a delivery date from a batch message. Now, when we add a delivery date, we naturally have the ability to send over a single date, which in the case of a smoking status is fine because patients are just going to be responding whether they smoke or not. But if this was a batch message of the likes of a seasonal flu jab, you wouldn't want to send out all of your messages at once because you would then be expecting a huge amount of phone calls to come into surgery all at the same time. So the benefit of selecting a date range is that you can send your message across a period of time. The longer the date range, in simple terms, means that all of your messages will be distributed equally over that range of dates. So fewer messages will go all at once. So I'll stick with my single date for now and save. And after I've added my date or dates for sending this message, I can choose a time. So of course, if we are sending messages out today and we want them to go straight away, that is an option. The only con of sending messages straight away is that they can't be cancelled. So choose that option wisely. If not, we have a time slot of between 10 and 6 or between 6 and 9. So I think that's quite acceptable. And then I will save and continue to the final step, which is firstly to confirm my message. So this gives me the opportunity of reviewing all of the settings that I've chosen, the name of the message, the people that are going to receive it, the message itself, and the codes that I've applied. And you'll notice that each step of the way here, we can make changes by clicking on the link. I can also change the date at this point. If I'm happy with my choices, one final piece of sanity checking, if you want to call it that, I can send a test message to my own phone. When I receive it, I get to see exactly what the patient sees before I hit the schedule button, so that I know there is absolutely no problem at all. So I've now received that message on my phone. Very discreet little buzz there. I'm happy with it. I can now schedule. Now, hopefully, among other things, that's shown you how easy it is now to send bulk messages out to patients using Batch Messenger. Now, once you've scheduled a batch message, you're automatically taken to the Batch Messages tab here, and that allows me to view the status of messages that I'm either working on or have been sent previously. So this will show you messages that have been scheduled to send, messages that are in progress, so are currently sending, messages that have finished sending, and drafts. So if I clicked on finish later on any of those steps, I can always go back into a batch message and finish it off. One very useful thing that I would like to show you here is if you realize that you didn't code your message before you sent it, it's very easy to resolve. It has to be done within 14 days of the message being delivered to your patients. If I go to my sent messages, I have prepared a message here that I forgot to code, so I can go back into it. I double clicked on that, by the way. And if I go to the results tab, you'll see the number of patients that responded. And I can now retrospectively add my codes. And within about 45 minutes, I think that's the general time frame, after adding the code to the responses here, Mjog will then write them back into my clinical system. And that's a very key feature. Again, that has been requested from the likes of you. So that concludes the demonstration of Batch Messenger within Mjog. It's probably a good idea now to turn our attention again over to the questions that have been asked and see if there's anything else that needs addressing. How have we been doing, Paul?
I think we're up to date. All of the questions in there are an answer to the people who kindly responded to the issue about being able to see the webinar or not at the moment. I've answered a couple. But yeah, if anybody needs to ask any more, now's the time to do it, and we'll answer them as quickly as possible for you.
Perfect. So I'll go quiet for a few moments and just keep an eye on the questions coming in. In fact, I won't stay quiet for too long. While you're having a bit of a chat amongst yourselves or thinking about anything that you need to know, just to summarize the benefits of Batch Messenger one last time today. After going through the steps, hopefully that's demonstrated to you that sending out QoF-related messages via SMS and Smart, that's far quicker than preparing letters and envelopes, and definitely less expensive. And because you have the added benefit of allowing patients to respond to these messages, that coding can automatically be done for you, saving you an awful lot of additional administration time.
I can see a few more questions coming in now, so we'll just answer those. So Steve Howes, yes, Dorset will have this. And to answer another question that's come in, it will be released on the 17th. Okay, so that's the 17th of this month, and you will see those new features that Stuart described earlier. Okay. The Mjog app, so Barbara Hodges, the Mjog app is actually being phased out now. It's been replaced with a product called Web Messenger. You can speak to our sales team. They'd be happy to tell you all about that. And you can contact them on sales@mjog.com. Okay. So May, how to create a CSV file in Enus? Okay, well, in Enus, you would need to run a report. You'll have to forgive me. I don't have Enus in front of me, so I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head. Have you got Enus there, Stu, by any chance?
Yeah.
Could you possibly run through that quickly?
Yeah, I'll see if I've got some reports already in there. You'll have to forgive me if I don't.
Because we only have a test version of Enus, so it doesn't have live patients in it, obviously. So some of the functionality we don't have full access to. But I think you should be able to show running a report, Stu.
I can no doubt create a report of all of my practice population. That would be a start, because it will give you an idea. So in EMIS, to run reports, we go to the EMIS button, reporting, and I can use population reporting.
If you go into the EMIS library, there should be some in there. I think. Oh, that'll do, Stu. Yeah.
Yeah. So this report here is just one that we've created that lists all currently registered patients, but we could assume this could be anything. Smoking status within the last 12 months, over 65s, requiring a flu jab, that type of thing. So when you're exporting a CSV file for EMIS, the first important thing is to run the report to bring it up to date. And it queues.
Hopefully not for the rest of this week.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, depending on the size of the results, it will queue and queue some more. There's not a huge list though. There we go. That wasn't that bad. So I've updated my report, so it is current. Now to export it out of EMIS, on the toolbar at the top of the page, I can export results as a CSV file. And depending on what information we want to get out of EMIS, I would use population included or excluded. So if this was a report for patients that have had their smoking status updated within the past 12 months, I would want excluded patients, so the ones that are left over. But whichever option we choose, I'll click on OK, and then EMIS will then prompt me to save that CSV file somewhere suitable. So I could pop it on my desk, and I could call this smoking status, and save it. Again, unfortunately, on my training environment here, I don't have Excel, so this will look a little bit funny, but I will do my best to explain what you'll need to do next. When you open up your CSV file, you'll see a number of columns across the top of the page in Excel. So patient number, patient name, age, so on and so forth. The only column that you will need are the EMIS numbers, and you don't need the first column heading. So I suppose one way of showing you what this would look like, you would have one column with an Excel with just the patient numbers, whatever they are. Hopefully that was clear enough. Did that help answer your question? There's just one question that came in a moment ago from Linda. Are there any guidance notes on how to create your own smart messages, we do actually have a document that explains this process. From a user point of view, it is a little bit complicated, but with a little bit of time and effort, you can do it. However, we do have a dedicated member of our support team that will create smart templates for you. So my best suggestion would be, if you have the requirement for a new smart template, email our support team, support@mjog.com, explain what it is that you want to achieve, and the person that deals with that will then be in contact to start designing the template and make it available to you. That is honestly the best thing to do. But if it helps, I will send everybody present in the call the existing guide that we have for creating your own smart templates, if not. Sorry, Karen. I did see your message or your question. So yes, the answer is, if you did forget to code your message when it's delivered, you can do this after, and I'll just show you how to do that. So I should be sharing. Yes, I am. I'm sharing my training environment. So if I go back into Mjog, if I wanted to add the delivery code after my message has been sent, then from the home page of Mjog, I would go to batch messages, and then I'll view the batch messages that have been sent. So here's a batch message that I sent but forgot to add my delivery code to, so I'll open that. And if I go to the results tab now, at the bottom of the page here, I can add any of the codes that I have forgotten to configure the first time. Any other questions at all? Okay. Well, just in case, after the session finishes, you do have any further questions or even any training requirements, then you have the usual channels for help and support and training. So if you have any support related queries, so that means that something's not working properly, then you can call our support team on 01353 780 180. They can be emailed, support@mjog.com. Or if you go to the Mjog website, there is now a very easy to use ticketing process. So if you go to the support page on the Mjog website, you're able to submit a support ticket online, get assigned a reference number automatically, and then that helps you track the status of your support query. If you need any further training or have any training related queries, then Paul and I are always happy to help. And the best way of contacting us is to email training@mjog.com. We're able to assist with lots of things, such as providing you with user guides, access to training videos, and so on.
Hi, Karen. I can see you've just got back about coding a response code so the SMS is delivered. Okay, so good question. I'm just having a look if we can do that.
I can chime in with the answer to that, because I've just
retrospectively
noticed. Yeah, well, it doesn't look like you can.
No,
you can only code responses. It is.
We'll mention that to development. I've got a feeling that it might be difficult to retrospectively code a delivery, but we'll see. I will definitely put that question to them. The good news is,
very well spotted, Karen.
Yeah, well spotted. The good news is, Karen, it will warn you if you forgot to code stuff as you leave that page. So when you're putting the codes on the first time, it will tell you you haven't added codes to this. So with any luck, this retrospective recoding you won't have to use it too often. Okay, any more questions, please?
Okay. Well, both Paul and I would like to thank you all ever so much for taking time out this afternoon to sit through the training. I hope it's shown you the benefits of using Batch Messenger to get bulk messages out, and we've been able to show you the benefits along the way. You will be receiving a recording to this session tomorrow. As Paul confirmed, it will be next week when this new facility is rolled out to you. And between now and then, if you have any training related questions, it's training@mjog.com, and either Paul and I will get in touch and help you with your query. Thank you ever so much for your time this afternoon. We look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.